Yo, what up? It's A Moses, and the topic of discussion today will be based on what a lot of you guys like to talk about, what you like to throw around, the word and the purpose narcissist. I might have worded that funny, but it's okay. The actual topic is going to be based on how people can actually aid and assist the rest of us if they are a narcissist in making the world a better place and saving the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this video with a couple people shared in some groups so more people can get this information. The most important part of this is sharing. So if you feel like you've been interacting with narcissists, if you feel like a friend, a family member, anyone like that, somebody in your neighborhood, somebody, they might be a boss, they might be a manager, they might be a coworker of yours. Anybody that might need this information, anybody that would be interested in this information, if you think your best friend is dating or married to a narcissist, you definitely want to tag them, share this information with them, because that is the most important part of this video. Not only the information, but how many people can actually interact with this information. I believe that our special guest is in. Right now, I am advertising, promoting, sharing this video, and we're done. All right. So, a couple of questions that I'm going to be asking are going to touch on, the average American and the average person being able to access psychotherapy, why the term narcissist has been so popularized, lately, where this comes from, examples of how narcissists mainly can help the world and make the world a better place, and how we can get narcissists to help, how we can convince narcissists to help the world with their abilities or incapabilities. So when our guest comes on, I'm going to plug her in and then we're going to start the discussion. All right, I sent the invitation. We're just going to wait. If you're watching, please make sure you share. Pretty much like the live readings that I do. I know I haven't been going live lately, but it's for a very important reason. I will definitely be getting those cracking back. I was supposed to go live 2 days ago, but I was having some technical difficulties, and I just wanted to make sure everything was perfect. But we have everything back how it's supposed to be. How do you join? Okay. Yeah, we definitely should have discussed that. Live video. Yeah, I didn't know about that. Okay. Tagged her up. Well, at the bottom, if you go, see, okay, you have to go live on your phone. There's no way for you to join on your laptop. So if you're doing that, that's definitely not an option. Unfortunately, Facebook has not made that an option. Hmm. So that's the first thing. If you're on your laptop on a webcam, that's not gonna work. When you go on your phone, it's definitely there. How you doing, Tawanda? Where I'm just waiting for. Hold on for to join. It is. We're. I'm cool. I'm cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hope all is well with you as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, so try commenting on the video, and then we can try that. Because sometimes when I initially invite people before the video starts, it takes away the option for you to join for some people. Okay, there we go. Hey,
Hi, can you hear me?
of course, yes.
Okay, I apologize. I'm gonna let y'all know now I am not tech savvy. I don't know nothing about none of this. So I was like, should have figured this out first. But I'm here.
It's fine.
All right, let me see. Let me put this down. Make sure it's stable. Okay. Hey,
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing good. My baby fell asleep like 10 minutes ago. I was like, this is perfect timing.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect timing. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we definitely have to start out with the people knowing who you are, how to contact you, a little bit of your background. So tell the people about yourself.
Okay, sure. So, and thank you for this opportunity. By the way, want to extend that. I'm LaCourtney Maddox. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I have 50 million different names on Facebook, y'all. Okay, so it's just, it's all me. Okay, um,
Right.
and I, I live in, currently live in South Carolina in the Charleston area. I'm licensed in South Carolina as well as California to do clinical social work. And I've been in this field for about 15 years. I work with families, couples, children, individuals, and I have an extensive history working a lot with families. So, as far as my contact information, I can be reached by email, maddoxmotivations@gmail.com, or LaCourtney. It doesn't have a U in it, y'all. It doesn't. Um, I didn't find that out till I was like 17, but hey, it is what it is. Um, so LaCourtney@maddoxmotivations.com, or on YouTube. Facebook is Elle Danielle, and then I do have my business side, LaCourtney Maddox.
Okay, real nice. So let's just jump straight into it. So, a couple years ago, I was seeing a therapist when I lived in Oklahoma, actually, and he was saying that I want to say he said 82% of people experience trauma before the age of 12. So by the time they reach 18, it's only probably 10 to 12% of people that actually heal from that trauma without getting direct psychotherapy. So how important do you think therapy is for the average American?
I think therapy is it's pretty significant, especially with how time has shifted in our, especially our society. I'm not entirely familiar with other countries and things like that, but I know here in the States, we our whole way of life has changed so much, and not just with the pandemic, right? Back in the day, we used to have way back in the day, we had people who, moms were at home raising the kids and taking care of the home and doing all these things and teaching all these skills. and dad was going out working and doing all these things. And then fast forward a few decades, we had like in the 80s and the 90s, and into the 2000s, a lot more women postponing marriage and basically saying, I'm going to prioritize education and be out here, and I'm working as well. So what that did, and this is not assigning blame anywhere, but it left children, a lot of children, in the care of other people, not necessarily learning the things maybe mom and dad wanted them to learn, or not necessarily having this idea of community, right? But and it doesn't mean that they didn't have it, or some did, right? It's just the way that life was before that changed. And so there was this separation. It was like, instead of a unit, right, there was this boom, 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 boom. And so everyone's adjusting, and it all had a trickle effect. So if we have women waiting to get married, even men waiting to get married, and we're having kids later, and we're a lot older when we're doing this, it changes so many things. And so maybe there are a lot of things that we might be missing sometimes. And I think our children do experience things that we don't really realize because we're busy with work, or we're busy with this. So it's so important for, people to get the help that they feel they need. I know that was wordy,
No,
so.
no, it makes a lot of sense, especially with specific communities growing economically and not having that same background. So for if there were a couple generations that may have come up in the inner urban communities, and they were more close, they were more tightly knit, and they moved to more of a suburban or a rural area, they might experience different things, and psychotherapy may be needed to even things out because they didn't have the same experiences growing up. I think that's really important for people to know. I like that.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have, with just different communities, there are so many different resources. Like, you think of a wealthier area where, the
Mm.
suburbs and things like that, you are going to see just even the physical makeup. Like, my husband and I will talk about this when we're traveling and stuff. Certain areas and other areas based on like main things you'll see. Like, you're not going to see a Walmart in a super like ritzy kind of like well-to-do area. I mean, you might see one, you might have to drive to it, but as far as like it being right there, you're not going to see that. You're just not. But if you are in a place where there's a lot more poverty, a lot less resources, um, I would say helpful resources, you're going to see a lot of things literally every single time. There's going to be, and I'm not knocking these things because I switch my hair up all the time.
Mm.
You're going to see a beauty supply store. You're going to see a quick check cashing place. You're going to see like a Boost Mobile, not knocking it. I got it. You see what I'm saying? I'm just saying in certain areas, you already can distinguish it. And so if you have people who are given these things, but it's not addressing the mental health, it's just kind of distracting people from their day-to-day lives, then it's almost like it's set up like that. Like, you just don't get that same access. And so that's going to have a lot of people walking around dealing with things, or maybe not dealing with it, feeling like, okay, what is this that's going on with me? Okay, well, that's just life. This is me. I need to tough it out. I need to do this and do that. And it's like, you're dealing with a lot of shit, buddy, like a whole lot. So we might need to unpack that. So it is unfortunate that people in certain areas don't really get that access like that. But with teletherapy, telehealth, it goes to anyone who can get internet. Now people like this have these options.
I like that. I like that. So, more so on the topic, why do you think, because the topic is how can narcissists actually help, since a lot of people like to throw that word around, why do you think that, why do you think people, how has it become so popularized? How has it become so normalized to call anyone just a narcissist, just off top?
hmm So there are probably several different reasons. I would definitely say since the pandemic, it's really blown up. But prior to the pandemic, it was coming out a lot more. And there's a lot to do with, if you look at social media, if you look at entertainment, just in general, we have really since the 2000s, we have just created all kinds of platforms where people can get up here and talk about themselves or take pictures of themselves or do this and do that. And it's like, well, look at me. Oh, I can share this with everybody. Look at all this stuff. Look at me. And now I'm eating breakfast and now I'm doing this, right? And you see the pictures of people and the food they made. And I'm not knocking it because I used to do it too. I probably have done it recently. I don't know. I get sidetracked. Anyway, the point is, we have been a part of this culture where it's like we're sharing all of everything with other people, and it's almost expected. And so when we get these likes or these dings on our phones, these notifications, it's feeding us. It's giving us hits of dopamine. And so people are looking for that and looking for the next thing and looking for the next thing. And pop culture has basically labeled people who want attention like this as narcissists. And I think a lot of it is unfair because it's like, just because someone wants some attention doesn't mean that they're a narcissist, right? And so with the attention, somehow it implies selfishness. And there are a lot of people who think, well, if this person's only focusing on them, then they don't care about anyone else. They're a narcissist. And it's like, what? No, that doesn't mean they're a narcissist. That just means they're focused on them. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that narcissism doesn't exist, but there is this tendency for people to just slap a label on people, right? The other part of it, though, is there are people with narcissistic traits, even if they're undiagnosed. All of us have some traits, some narcissistic traits, but it's on levels, right? And so when you encounter someone who has high, like they're high up on the scale, these folks need a lot of attention. And the pandemic, because it's locked down, this is why I think this had a lot to do with it too. Because the pandemic has forced everyone inside, and you can't go to the movies, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't go and get your fix, so to speak, how you used to, and basically drain other people's energy. Then it's like folks who really are narcissists are stirring, and they cannot. They're just like, I got to get out of here. Something's wrong, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. And it's like, what's wrong? You don't want to sit with yourself? Why don't you want to sit with yourself? But you want to go out and drain other people. So I think that in part is what's allowing us to see it. People are just exposing themselves left and right.
Okay, I like how okay, so pretty much you were saying, you touched on something that I was going to touch on a little bit later. As far as the sliding scale and people just not being on specific levels that a lot of people might think they are on, at what point do you think someone who might be an authentic narcissist, when should they, when should they, I'm just going to put it out there, when should they just stop trying to heal themselves and treat this thing and actually start to try to direct their abilities and actually try to help people? Or do you think that, what do you think about that?
I think that a lot of people who are narcissists don't know they're narcissists. And I think that they
Wait a minute, but
well, okay, so
what if they're formally diagnosed and their therapist is like, okay, you're a narcissist. Instead of you trying to, or even before they introduce that, when do they stop trying to treat it or heal it and actually try to use it? Or should they keep trying to heal themselves and treat it until they die? Like, what do you say?
when you say trying to heal themselves and treat it, do you mean like try to make themselves do things that go against what they usually would?
Try to
Because I
become
know a lot of
neurotypical.
folks say that. You said what?
Trying to become neurotypical, trying to normalize their behavior and just be a normal.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that's, woo, that's not, that's, mm-mm. Okay, so part of what I do in therapy, right, is help people learn how to understand themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so someone can present to me with symptoms of anxiety or depression or PTSD, which is a form of anxiety, right? But it could be whatever it is they're presenting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a one size fits all, but it's the way that therapy works from how I like to do it is letting people see themselves. So basically, I'm like a mirror, and I'm mirroring back to you your emotion, the thoughts you're having, whatever it is that's coming out. But I'm also validating you in the process. So it's not like someone shares something, I'm like, okay, why would you share that? Like, that's so damaging, right? But
Yes.
part of the healing, and therapy does not always feel good. There are crappy moments a lot of times. But part of the healing and growth for a person, even someone with narcissistic personality disorder, is being reflected back what you're doing. Because a big part of, or what you're saying as well, a big part of it is this need for admiration, right? This sense of like grandiosity, and then also like this lack of empathy. And so it doesn't mean that a person has to kind of like fake the funk to normalize themselves in society and stuff like that if they don't mean it. But true healing and growth, I would say growth for someone who does have this diagnosis would be they have to ask themselves, what is it they want for their life? Because if a person who is diagnosed with this, they know that they have, messed up all kinds of relationships and, all kinds of friendships or whatever it is, usually there's like some type of like path of somewhat destruction, right? Where it's like, dang, like, I was with this person, I messed it up. I was with this person, I messed it up. Well, no, she messed it up. Well, no, actually, I messed it up. You know what I mean? It's like it's going to require a certain level of radical truth, radical honesty, which is, okay, I have this, I do this, I treat people this way, but what do I want in my life? If I know that I want a good quality relationship, that means that I'm going to have to do things that are counterintuitive to me. So if I'm a narcissist and I don't give a freak about what you got going on, but for the sake of having you, then I'm going to have to make myself care about what you have going on. It's almost like 50 Shades of Grey. That whole like Christian Grey and what was her name? Anna. That kind of puts me. Have you seen it? You haven't seen it? Oh, okay. All right. Well,
A lot of my audience don't know what you're talking about. It's okay.
Yeah. So it's like that, where he wasn't rude. He wasn't, somehow people have this idea that a person who's a narcissist is like rude and this and that. I mean, they can be. All of us can be, right? But in this scenario, he was not rude. He was very charming. He was very like attentive to this woman, but he basically wanted what he wanted on his terms. And it was like, this is what I want. Like, I don't care about love. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care about any of that. So this is what it is. It's just very direct. And sometimes people mistake that for being like some horrible person. Like, you're so awful. You're a narcissist. You don't care about anyone. It's like, that might be true, but you have a choice if you want to be here or not. So you don't have to be here, and that gets into a whole nother thing. There's like power plays and all of that. But if a narcissist truly wants to, I'd say, heal or grow or, whatever it is they're looking for, they have to decide why. And what is it that's going to get you in that place? Are you going to change your quote unquote selfish ways for a relationship? Well, if so, what kind of relationship does it have to be? I would imagine it has to be something that makes you feel something you haven't felt before. Or, you just, maybe there's no reason. Maybe you're like, I just want to be with someone now, so I'm willing to put in the work to do these things. It's almost like if someone's trying to like weight train you
Right.
know, lifting weights and things like that. It's not easy starting out. There's a lot of times people don't even want to do that. I was working out in the gym 6 days a week, sometimes almost 2 hours a day. When I started, I did not want to do that, like at all. But I knew that what I wanted was more important than what I was feeling in that present moment. So I had to put in the work.
Okay, okay. Yeah, you answered probably three of my questions, which is a good thing. I like that. Okay. So when it comes to specific careers or specific positions and communities, where would you say someone who is experiencing narcissism, where should they focus? I mean, that's a really big question because it's, of course, how you described earlier. It's basically based on the person's personality. It's not like a specific certain things that everyone can do that might be a narcissist. But can you just give a couple examples of what?
Yeah, I would I was thinking any position of power, okay? Narcissists do really well in those positions because they're in control. And so if there is, you know, at a company, whatever type of company, agency, being their own boss, like having their own business and things like that, these would be exceptional positions for someone who has NPD because um, grandiosity, right? They want to be admired. And they also, I mean, from the description, it says general lack of empathy. So it's like, well, if you're at the top and you're getting admired and praised for all this stuff and all the little minions can do your bidding, that's the perfect setup. So I would say a lot of people in positions of power probably are narcissists, probably undiagnosed, but those are, especially when you hear stories of like how someone was laundering or doing this or doing that and, you know, doing like engaging in all this stuff. You're like, wait, what? How? When
Mhm.
did this happen? That person been doing that. Like that, they were like, what? You want me in this position? So I'm not ever leaving this position. You see what I'm saying? So it feeds the ego, something like that, where you get power, you get prestige. It's going to feed the ego, which the narcissist loves, and it's also going to give you a lot of attention. That gives you a lot of supply, a lot of energy. Like narcissists need energy from people. They need it. And so it's just like, well, if I could be at the top and I could be doing this and going here and I'm the important person, especially if you can get like a traveling position, oh, you're golden. You're golden. You are going to a new place, however often you want to, coming across new people, new energy, and you're the one calling all the shots.
That kind of goes back to the question I asked you previously about if they should, at what point should they. You gave the answer that I didn't expect that because I talked to somebody else about that. I was describing a problem that my friend was having that is a narcissist, and they said I spoke to another psychotherapist, and they said that at that point the person is too far gone, and they should just do research on how they can use their own personality to sort of to help at some point. So basically, at this point, you said we have to incentivize what they already have going on and just put them in a position of power where they can help the masses, pretty much. Is that what you're saying? Do you agree with
Mhm.
that?
Yeah,
Okay,
I could see that.
okay. So
I
can you
could
give
see
some
that.
examples of celebrities or CEOs that are, in your opinion, narcissists? Just to give the people a clear.
That part is tricky because, and the only reason I say that is because, okay, so there are three that jump in my mind, right?
Mhm.
But I don't necessarily believe that they are narcissists, right?
Mhm.
The three off the top that pop in my head: Donald Trump, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian. Like, they're narcissists. They're this, they're that. I'm like, but are they really? Like, and as a social worker, again, my background is in social work. We don't just snatch children's kids. Now, I did work in CPS for 4 years. That's not all we do. We do a lot of work with people. We help people access their resources. So it's like if someone comes to us and says, I'm moving my house is falling apart. Literally, it's breaking. I need it fixed. That I've worked with someone like that before. And I was like, that's a thing? Like, they can do that? Well, you do your research. People come in, boom, hand them this number. You help people in their situation, right? So it's like, I could look at Kanye West. You know, he dropped his album, his release party and all that stuff, and people are like having all these mixed opinions. A lot of people might say that he's a narcissist, or probably do say he's a narcissist because, oh, well, he doesn't respect others' boundaries. He's, you know, he will go on these rants and things like that. And he took the microphone from Taylor Swift and he said so-and-so, Beyonce deserved it. And he, you know, they can call out all these things he's doing. Or he's behaving erratically in society and he's doing all these things. Okay, well, that may be true, but we don't know everything that's going on in that man's mind. We don't know what's going on in his home. That man has $1 billion. I don't know what that feels like. Okay, so if I was making millions and billions of dollars, I probably wouldn't know what to do with myself. Meaning, I would imagine there are a lot of things that people on certain levels experience that other people have no idea about, right? And so if someone is publicly breaking down and they say, oh, he's crazy, he's lost his mind. Well, did he really? Or was there a lot that he was dealing with? We don't know. You know, so it's hard to say this person is or that person is. I would say, society would say that those three are, because they want attention and they say whatever. They're reckless with their words and they want, you know, look at me, I'm amazing. But I'm just like, but does that mean they are? So it's kind of hard to pinpoint that, or even to identify somebody without knowing a lot of their detailed history, knowing a lot of like, you know, just the dynamics of different relationships, whether they're romantic partnerships, family situations, on the job, in school. Like, as clinicians, we look at all of these things when we're diagnosing people. We got to look at, like, what are your symptoms? How long have your symptoms been there? When did they start? Was there a trigger? Do you have any other diagnoses? Do you have any physical health conditions that could trigger this as well? Do you have any substance use? That could trigger some things too. So we have to look at all of these things. We look at what's called a global assessment, and we look at your social life, your emotional life, your mental health history. Like, if you had any diagnoses before, we look at what you do in your day-to-day, from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep, your physical health, and your social supports. We look at all of that. And even then, we still have to comb through and ask more questions to see, do you fit this criteria? So I couldn't accurately say, like, these people are or not, but I know based on how society is going, oh yeah, they're like, hands down. People are like, yeah, they're that.
Okay, so what would you say are some triggers?
Some triggers for someone becoming a narcissist?
Yeah. Okay, so when you said that, I just automatically thought like the person would just be going through life having a normal day and somebody would say something or something would occur that would turn it up or turn it down. Is that what you meant, or trigger somebody
Okay,
to be a narcissist?
so triggers for a narcissist,
Yes.
like what would cause them to, um, that could be anything really, because a lot of it is, so imagine a person going through life and everything, like the world in their mind revolves around them. Everything revolves around them. So it's like you get caught at a red light. I mean, if they didn't eat their Snickers that morning, they might go off on somebody, right?
Mm.
Or somebody's taking really long in the line. Like there could be like an old lady or an old man like moving really slow. They could get pissed off at that. Oh, they could cuss that person out. Like it just really depends on them, like where they're at that day in that moment in that time. There's like a lot of um anything could trigger them, really. Anything could trigger a person to, I guess, go off on someone else. But as far as like on the makings of a narcissist, like how a person becomes narcissistic or is diagnosed, a lot of that comes from, and a lot of people say like trauma, right? Trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone to a degree has gone through some type of trauma. But usually when we have someone who is like a full-blown narcissist, usually there had been extensive abuse, whether it was physical, emotional, mental, sexual. It could have been significant neglect as well. That's another thing we look at with children, is that the parent sometimes, or the caregiver, whoever it is not there to provide for them. So imagine like a 4-year-old having to learn how to take care of themselves at 4 because there's no one there to show you anything. And then you kind of grow up with adults around, but no one's guiding the person. And then especially if it's a house full of people, there tends to be this this hyper like hypersensitivity to the need for things, to have things, right? It's like because there were so many people all together and we had to scrape and get this and try to get that and all these things, like it's about me now. I get what I get. You can have people who would like hoard food in their rooms, who had like abuse or experienced a lot of neglect because they didn't know when they were going to get their next meal. And if they had siblings or a whole bunch of cousins, they're not telling anybody about nothing. I'm looking out for me. That's the start of it. And that's not always the case, but a lot of it is rooted in abuse and neglect.
Hmm. Are you familiar with a YouTuber by the name of Young Pharaoh? Okay,
Yes.
so he put out a video. It was about 43 minutes. He said a lot of people take him as a narcissist, but he was giving background how he was homeless since he was, I believe he said 15, and he was in and out of institutions. He was in the street. He had to fend for himself. A lot of the adults around him were just not doing their job pretty much. And because he has this opportunity, he's made himself a multimillionaire. He started to, re-educate himself and things like that. And he explained why he acts like how he acts. And I think
Hmm.
you definitely shed some light on what a good explanation of his behaviors. Um, my next question is from me just talking to people, a lot of people might say that because they're independent, not independent, excuse me, codependent, they attract a lot of narcissists. Through my research, I've seen that people who are codependent can only attract narcissists, and vice versa. If somebody's a narcissist, 9 times out of 10, they're partly codependent and they are in a relationship with somebody who is codependent or slightly a narcissist themselves. So
Hmm.
do you think it's important for people with codependency or people that are codependent to experience that type of relationship? Because just me talking to my people, it seemed to have empowered them and to even them out, if you will,
Yeah, I'm trying to.
on both sides
Okay.
actually.
Yeah. Um, that is an that is an accurate statement. that people who are narcissists and people who are codependent, they're basically, it's all on a spectrum. Narcissists need energy, and then I actually just made a video about this the other day. On the other end is the empath, right? The empath and the narcissist is pretty much the same thing. Okay, nobody get mad. Nobody get mad. Nobody get mad. Because I know y'all are like, no, the empath is here to destroy the narcissist. I beg to differ. This goes into what you were saying. They will even each other out. Like that. It's like you have, how do they put it? Like what? Like fire and ice? You put them together, it's just going to be calm water. Like, that's what empaths and narcissists do to each other, right? Now, when we get into codependency, there is a very unhealthy level of codependency in these relationships. And unhealthy meaning, if left unchecked, and this is where you get these stories of like everyone's labeling a narcissist, right? Like everyone's saying this person's a narcissist. They broke up with me, they're a narcissist. Not necessarily. I mean, they could have had these tendencies, but say they are. This person is going to come in strong, charming, you know, you're this, you're that, and or she's gonna come in and, you know, just be all these things, right? And be captivating. And so you guys mesh really well, really fast, right? And you find yourselves needing each other, wanting each other all the time. Okay, well, that could be considered infatuation, or we could just really, really, really like each other and want to be with each other. Okay, if you have a narcissist who's in this situation, they're going to get bored really fast. Like, that's just a thing. Gonna get bored really fast. Like, yeah, I just saw you like for the last 2 weeks. Like, I'm, you know, it was fun, but I'm find somebody who's next, you know? And it's like people would look at that. So the empath would look at that and say, but I gave you my heart and I did all this. Ain't nobody tell you to do all that. You see what I'm saying? And this is where it's like, it's unpopular to say this because people, so there's like this good guy, bad guy. The empath is the good guy and the narcissist is the bad guy. Well, y'all both toxic. Point blank, period. You're both toxic, okay? Like, this one just knows how to take, and take. And this one just gives, because that's what you're supposed to do. Nobody told you to do that, though, you know? And the thing about a narcissist, usually they're going to tell you what's up from the beginning. Like, if you look, pay attention to their actions, they kind of just telling themselves. Like, it's kind of crazy, but it's not crazy like they're crazy. It's just interesting how a narcissist will just reveal who they are. They're like, this is who I am. This is what I do. And then the empath is like, so do you mean this is who you are and this is what you do? And they're like, I mean, if you want to play that part, that's fine. But just know that I'm going to get what I need out of this. And you, I mean, you can keep giving. But at some point, you have to stop. And so that codependency is like neither one will let go. The motivations are different, though. The narcissist is not wanting to let go because the narcissist needs that fuel. So even if the narcissist gets bored with that person, they'll put them in what they call the harem garage, right? They'll put them in the garage and pull out whichever one. Like, I want to. I like this one. That's what they're gonna do, right? And then the empath is so stuck on the emotional high from the beginning of the relationship where they were like put on a pedestal and the narcissist made them feel like everything. And now they're being devalued because the narcissist is bored. So they're giving more, trying to get back to that place, and they can't get back there. It's also unhealthy in that way. But if they stick together and stick it out, they do level each other off. And it's there's this tendency for people who have been in these types of relationships to be or feel victimized. They did this to me. They took everything from me. They probably did because you were leading with your heart and not your head, right? And it happens to the best of us, even if you went in with really good intentions, right? It's just sometimes things are what they are. But if we really think about it, we saw those flags, we felt those gut checks. You know, we went through those things, but somehow, no, it's okay. No, this person is this, that person is that. No, we ignored it. And we agreed, we allowed this behavior to continue. So we both depended on each other for some jacked up stuff. And that's how those relationships go.
Hmm. So from what I saw one video, it pretty much said the relationship between a person that's codependent and a person that is narcissistic. The codependent person or the empathic person is the people pleaser, so they know how to adjust really well, really quickly, and they're
Yep.
attracted to the narcissist because they don't care. That's why a lot of people are attracted to them, and they're in their own energy, they're in their own world, and that's why they get the attention they do in specific ways. So balancing each other out, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is very important. Um, I think I don't even want to say all that, but that's really you answered. Like I said, you answered all my questions, which I mean it's cool. So
Okay, awesome. Sorry, was I supposed to drag it?
nah, you talked a lot of hand
Okay,
action.
okay.
Nah, that's
Like,
cool.
yeah. You got it out. You got it out. Okay.
All right, I appreciate it. So again, how can the people connect with you? Are you on a schedule? Do you have openings for people to, come and heal themselves? What do you have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'm LaCourtney Maddox on Facebook. I'm Elle Danielle. But so I can be reached at if you send an email, maddoxmotivations with an s.com. Um, I respond to those pretty quick. I do have openings. I have my private practice here at home. This is where I do all my work with my clients. I love it, y'all. I do. I really do love what I do. And so I do have openings. I work in the evening times, Eastern Standard Time. So for anyone who wants therapy specifically, like if you are looking for like a diagnosis, a treatment plan, all these things where there's this clinical work that we're going to do, I'm licensed to do that in the state of California and the state of, where am I at?
South
South
Carolina.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So California and South Carolina, I can do that. However, if you're wanting like a consultation or coaching, coaching is similar in that we're still going to do work together as far as like pulling out what it is you want to address, but we're not doing clinical treatment, meaning we're not getting into psychodynamics, or we're not discussing like, okay, you're diagnosed with this, you have these things. It's more so like pulling out the things that you want to work on, me reflecting that back to you and just saying, hey, like this is what it is, right? um and so that would be the coaching, and that's for anybody. Again, you can visit maddoxmotivations.com to check that out. I do have availability. I am seeing taking new clients, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad we were able to have this discussion, clear a lot of things up, answer a lot of important questions, and give clarity.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. I would definitely love to come back. Mental health is so important for so many people, and there are a lot of people who are trying to get therapy, and I'm hearing the wait time sometimes 7, 8 months
Hmm.
because folks are booked. So I feel like these types of opportunities and platforms can be so helpful and so useful to people to get access to this information.
Of course, I agree. Well, thank you, Elle, for coming through, showing the people love.
Yes, thanks for the invite.
Of course, of course.
All right,
Talk to you
take
next time.
care.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Come on, guys. Didn't you? What wasn't that food for the soul? Of course it was. Make sure you share. Very important. I'm gonna throw this video on YouTube, Instagram. We're definitely gonna run it up. So make sure you contact Elle, slide in her DM, get in her inbox. Make sure you share this with some loved ones, anyone you know that needs this information. I'm Aaron Moses, A Moses. I'm the band, you the band, we the band together, man. Life is in the breath. Breathe it in. Peace.